Hey everybody, welcome back. If you're new here, hi, I'm Mercury. Welcome to my channel. It's my daily vlog, so whatever I'm up to is what you're gonna see. And today I am having a, resting on the couch kind of day. My back is still recovering. If you didn't see yesterday's video, I got stuck on the floor. I have bulging discs. I had an ED visit. I am not in good shape. So home vlog on the couch, resting and recovering. That is the name of the game the next few days. So that being said, there were some book reviews I hadn't done yet, and I finished a couple of books. So today's video, book review of My Best Friend's Exorcism. And I know every time I mention this book, I keep saying it one way or the other way because I keep flip-flopping. It's either like The Exorcism of My Best Friend or My Best Friend's Exorcism. The correct title is My Best Friend's Exorcism, and it was written by Grady Hendrix. So I really enjoyed this book, and I got through it super quick, and that's always a telltale sign that I'm really enjoying a book because I don't want to put it down, and I keep going and I keep going. I read this really, really quickly. It is like in the genre of like young adult fiction, but even as an adult, I found it really enjoyable. And one of the perspectives that I took when reading it was like, if a teenager were to say the things to me that these teenagers were saying, would I believe them? And how would a teenager in that situation get help? Because the things that they were experiencing were kind of outlandish for what happens in, the real world, or like, normal day-to-day run-of-the-mill stuff. So it was a really interesting kind of perspective being an adult reading a young adult book with young adults who are going through some pretty challenging things, but some of it supernatural. So what's real, what's not real, and what lens do you view this book from? So I personally, I feel like this is a great book for both a young adult and adult. So as always, whenever I do these book reviews, I try to do them without doing too many spoilers because I want you to read the book. I want you to have the enjoyment that I got. So I do want to, leave an air of mystery about it. But what I will do is let me compare it to something else that you might be familiar with. The story, like a lot of times books and movies, they're variations on a theme, right? Like the content is different, the characters are different, but thematically, many stories parallel each other in a lot of ways or in a few ways. And to me, when I was reading this book, I felt a lot of parallels to the movie Heathers with Christian Slater and Winona Ryder, and Shannon Doherty, and it's a great, I don't remember if it was the late 80s, early 90s, and that sort of like teen angst, dark, coming of age type of a theme is what was going on here. And as somebody who grew up in the 80s and 90s, like, I very much related to that. And this book is also set, not in present day, but in that time period too. So that certainly helped with relatability as well. And then people change, and is that change a metaphor for something else? And are they changing because they're getting older? Or are they changing because there's something supernatural going on? What's real? What's not real? How do you know? Things like that. So I found this book really enjoyable to get through. It also talks about themes of like growing up and separating and like losing your friends and reuniting with friends and and things like that as an adult kind of hit a little different than as a young adult reading a book. And I think growing up, like, you sort of know that that's what's going to happen because you see adults are not in their friend circles like you have your friend circles. And I remember as a kid, like, noticing that there's a difference between the way that, like, kids have friend groups and adult friend groups they don't parallel the same way. So this is sort of like, oh yeah, that explains why that happened. Like, people grow apart, and this book also touches on that aspect also, and like what that means and how does that affect people, and isolation, and seeking kinship. All those themes are part of this book. all tied together by supernatural, what's going on, like how do we stay safe, is this a dangerous situation, like what is this, what's happening? So it's all tied together under that. So and it was woven so seamlessly and so well, and it's easy to read. It was a really enjoyable book. So on my books that I would recommend, this is definitely a good one. I really, really enjoyed this. I did learn after I read it that it has been turned into a movie. I have not seen the movie, so I cannot do a basis for comparison, but now that I know it's a movie, I'm gonna seek it out and see how they did adapting it. Generally speaking, I do feel like books are always better than movies. Generally speaking, there might be a couple of exceptions here and there, but the reason why I say this, in a book, you have an infinite amount of pages that you can create the world, explore the world, go off on a tangent and, explore somebody's thought process in a situation. In a movie, you don't have that. You have a strict time frame, hour and a half to at max 3 hours. And that's like, we're talking Lord of the Rings kind of, And even Lord of the Rings had to be broken into multiple movies because there's so much there and there was so much left out. So that's a great example, right? But because in a book you have the space to explore and create, I generally hold to the belief that the book is always going to be better than the movie. Again, there are some exceptions in there. I'm not painting with a blanket brush, but in my experience, I've typically enjoyed the book more. So unfortunately, that means I sort of go into watching the movie a little bit jaded because I'm not expecting much. But it might surprise me. It might surprise me. So we'll see. And if I do get around to seeing it, I will let you know my thoughts on that as well. So that is my review for My Best Friend's Exorcism. And, if you've read it, let me know, put it in the comments below, tell me what you thought of it. Let's have a conversation about it, but try to keep it spoiler free if you can, because, if you haven't read it, I want to know if you're thinking about reading it, or your thoughts before you read it versus after you read it. And, we'll talk. Put those comments below and we'll have some dialogue around this book, because this was a good one. And with that, I'm done for the day. I'm going to go rest some more. I will see you all real soon. And until then, stay inspired by everyone. Take care.